Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. Sam, it's officially official. Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold presumably going to be the backup. Matt Corral out for the season. So let's discuss the Panthers, man. We talked a lot around draft time. We thought they were going to have to draft a quarterback. They only had pick number 6, weren't picked until the 4th round, all this stuff. And they end up with Baker Mayfield. As volatile as it gets so far in his NFL career, 2 good years, 2 not so good years. What should we expect from the Panthers and Baker Mayfield this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Baker and the Panthers is about the best possible combination in terms of what they could have expected, given their quarterback options, which, by the way, can we just take a brief moment to have an aside to look at that week 1 fixture, which is Cleveland and Carolina, Baker playing the Browns, because that might be the most mismanaged quarterback matchup of all time, right? The Browns are paying their own starting quarterback half as much money as the quarterback of the opposition that's facing them. The Panthers are paying their backup $20 million to have no part in the game. The Browns are also paying some dude $40 million to just sit on the sideline suspended while all this is taking place. Like, that
so you're
might
saying,
genuinely be.
The Browns are paying Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson.
The
basically.
Browns are paying Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, and the quarterback that's going to be starting for them, Jacoby Brissett.
While the Panthers are paying a lot of money to Sam Darnold.
Yes.
To back up.
So there's about $65 million tied up in 2 quarterbacks that in theory won't be playing in the game. And then the 2 that are playing in the game, the Browns are paying both of them, but they're paying their opposition quarterback twice as much as they're paying their starting quarterback. Which just, this is calamitous quarterback dealings from both teams, really.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Go ahead.
So I'm actually, I'm reasonably confident that Baker Mayfield, with some good receivers to throw to and a good offensive line, will be by far the best option that the Panthers have. The concern for the Panthers is whether they're going to have those things. I think the receiving group looks good. DJ Moore has been a pretty quarterback-proof receiver for his NFL career so far. I think Robbie Anderson can be sort of rediscovered by a more aggressive Baker Mayfield relative to the quarterbacks he's had recently, whether it's Terrace Marshall, Rashad Higgins, Christian McCaffrey. They've got some other weapons as well. That's a good group of receivers. The concern is that offensive line, and they've done a good job, I think, adding bodies and sort of rebuilding it and adding pieces to try and get better. But Ike Ekwonu might not be good right away, and that could be an issue. And he looks very good run blocking right now. He looks less good as a pass protector. And Baker Mayfield is one of those quarterbacks where protection matters a lot. We saw that earlier in his career when Greg Robinson was a starting left tackle and there was a lot of pressure coming from the left side. And then even when there wasn't pressure coming from the left side, Baker was acting like there was pressure coming from the left side. He gets into bad habits when he starts to anticipate pressure coming. And over his entire NFL career, his PFF grade when there's no pressure, 90.5. When there is pressure, drops all the way into the 40s, 47.3. So I think that is a big, big factor for how good Baker Mayfield can be. If that Panthers offensive line is fine, I think Baker ends up looking pretty good for them. If it isn't, then it's a lot more questionable.
Yeah, there's definitely some quarterbacks where we talk a lot about the pressure rate being on the quarterback and all that fun stuff. Hey, Tom Brady protects his offensive line, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. But a lot of quarterbacks do need to rely on the offensive line because they are going to hold the ball a tick longer. And that's always been Baker Mayfield. Plus, as you mentioned, I think you well described when he knew Greg Robinson was out there. Yeah, he was a little twitchy. He was a little bit twitchy in the pocket. So that's a factor. If Ike Ekwonu, who's got a 38 passing grade so far through a couple preseason games, if he continues to struggle in pass protection, Baker might be looking over his shoulder, just saying, "Hey, I got a rookie out there. Yeah, he's not there yet." Just to recap Baker Mayfield's career too: 83 grade as a rookie, down to 72 as a passer. His second year, that was when Greg Robinson was there, the struggling offensive line. Then a 85 passing grade, 85 overall grade in 2020. Browns make the playoffs. Let's not forget that. The Browns made the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. I know some Browns fans who are so excited about Baker Mayfield. Still, they're like, that guy, I got him for life. He brought us to the playoffs. He's not this bust or a disaster. He had an 85 grade just in 2020 and then last year down in the low 60s. So that's this roller coaster So he's due. It's an even year. But that's the roller coaster that Baker Mayfield has been on throughout his career. And a lot of it's been based off surroundings, but not necessarily like you think. Even when they had Odell Beckham healthy, things weren't great. Odell Beckham gets hurt. Baker looks great. It's tough to predict what Baker Mayfield's going to do. But I'll say this. He's an upgrade. The receivers are pretty good as you laid out. It does come down to that line kind of shoring things up in pass protection.
Yeah, and look, I think there's a decent chance that Baker is able to. I don't think it's an automatic that a bad player on the offensive line means Baker starts getting into terrible habits and looking awful and playing like crap because he's under pressure the whole time and because he's feeling pressure that isn't there. But I think there's a potential that starts, and then when it starts, it snowballs a little bit. But you got to remember that year with the Greg Robinson left tackle, it wasn't just him. It was an offense generally that was a mess. The Freddie Kitchens year, everybody got fired at the end of that year. And it wasn't because Greg Robinson was bad at left tackle. It was because everything was a mess. Like the offensive structure, the system, the scheme, the plays that were being called were messy. So not only did Baker anticipate pressure coming from the left side constantly, but he didn't really have anywhere to go with the ball when he did anticipate it. I have a greater degree of confidence that this year's Panthers team, even if left tackle is a problem, like even if Ekwonu in year one is a liability as a pass blocker at left tackle, and there's no guarantee that's going to be the case at all. But even if that is true, I think there's a greater chance that Mayfield has somewhere to go with the ball and can kind of help mitigate that with the scheme, with the receivers, and get the ball out of his hands quickly and, not automatically just lapse back into bad habits and start playing like bad Baker Mayfield.
Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. And now everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. You get up 7 and you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. It's promo code PFF only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for terms and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And don't forget those $5 deposits and wagers, minimum $5, and then $200 issued as 8 $25 free bets. All right, so what's our final prediction here? I got a good feeling about Baker playing much better than he did last year, now that he's healthy. Mm-hmm. The receiver part of it, just to reiterate, along the offensive line, they've been really good at right tackle with Taylor Moton. But we mentioned Icky being the rookie on the left side. A question there. Brady Christensen probably stepping in at left guard. Good college player, but hasn't done it at the NFL level. Pat Elflein has never really played well at the NFL level, battling Bradley Bozeman for the starting center job. Austin Corbett is solid. I mean, 2/5 of the offensive line has a track record of solid or better. And that's the risky part. But if they come together and Baker gets rid of the ball just a little bit quicker, defense has some promising young players, I think the Panthers are competing, right, in this NFC South. Maybe not for the division in the NFC South, but for those wild card spots in the NFC that are completely wide open.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty broad range of outcomes of the offensive line because Moton should be good. Austin Corbett should be solid. Elflein, I don't think will be good at center because he never has been, but Bradley Bozeman, I think, is an upgrade. I don't quite understand why that hasn't been a switch that's already been made. But if Bozeman ends up starting in center, he could be solid as well. Christensen could be kind of anywhere at left guard. He could be under, subpar. He could be average. He could be above average. So that's a pretty broad range there. And then Ekwonu is a big X factor. He hasn't impressed particularly, certainly as a pass blocker so far in preseason, but he's got all the physical tools to be a dominant tackle. Like that could happen sooner, that could happen later. We don't quite know where he is. So that offensive line could be 3/5 problematic, or it could be 3/4, 5/5 average or above average. It could be a perfectly good serviceable unit. So if it's bad, I think the Panthers, like that will be what caps how good the Panthers can be. If it ends up being a pretty good line though, like the Panthers could seriously challenge for a playoff spot. They could be looking to overhaul New Orleans in that division. I don't think they're going to be able to go toe to toe with Tampa Bay, but they can be chasing wild card spots and cause some teams some problems.
If there's one thing we've seen from Mayfield throughout his career, it's a little bit of streakiness, right? We talk about these runs that he's gone on. He's been hot or he's been cold. I think getting off to a good start is going to be crucial. And he's getting off to a start against his former team, the Cleveland Browns. The NFL really knows how to make those schedules, Sam. They know how to create that drama. So Baker Mayfield named the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Let us know, are the Panthers going to make the playoffs? It's